Alrighty, good morning, good morning. Yeah, what a morning. As you can see, I am broadcasting in the dark this morning. No fancy lights, no fancy microphones, no nothing. Why? Because in South Africa, we are load shedding. Well, most of you that's here this morning are from South Africa, so you would very well know. If you're watching this from elsewhere, it's some fun and games that we do play with ourselves every now and then. But anyway, so today I want to talk all about getting your time back. It's so important. I had so many conversations, and one in particular on Wednesday, which sort of triggered this topic with me. And I thought, like, let's talk about this because I have spoken about this. There's sessions there where I speak about this, but yeah, let's try and see, how can we get our time back? And that's what today is going to be about. So it is all about outsourcing. It is about different areas of your business that is probably ripe for outsourcing, and that's a good idea to outsource. But also going to go through why you should, what you can look at, what you should consider, and then give you some tips that you can maybe go and use. But before we do, let's get the show started properly. I'll see you on the other side of this. Righty, good morning. Warm welcome to a Propulsion Live this morning. Awesome to have you here, and thank you for everybody that is joining us live this morning. And sorry for starting a little bit late. We're having some technical difficulties with one of the segments, and we're going to see if we can get that sorted. So today's order is going to be a little bit different, and we will start off with Norma. And Norma today is going to talk a little bit about signs when we're not really managing our minds well. So we're going to talk about that. We have Rizanne back after a long break, and she's going to talk about making your digital assets tangible. And I've got just a couple of short announcements, and then we'll get into today's topic. And if we can get Lilani sorted this morning, then she'll also do current affairs. But let's see how this morning goes. All right. So let me say a warm good morning to you. Thank you for saying hi in the comments and the chat. Really appreciate it. Good morning, Mr. Mark Westonford is in first this morning. Good morning. Good morning, Albert. Nice to see you again. Yeah, we must maybe they should also start outsourcing. Although I think who is it? What's his name? Hell, but the oak with a dietitian. I don't know whether that's now true or not, but maybe he was outsourcing anyway. Good morning, Terence. Good morning. Hope to see you soon again. David, good morning. Nice to see you in the chat this morning. Eloise, good morning. Hope you're doing very well. Thank you very much for joining us. Renee, good morning. Awesome to see you. Barry, we've got Neil. We've got myself saying hello. Marcel, good morning. Mr. Johan Vosloo himself, good morning. Good morning, Johan. Hope you're doing well. Jacaruz, good morning. Stephen, good morning. Ben, good morning. Ben Charlton, nice to see you here this morning. And Marky say, we all feel your pain. Time for propulsion generator. Yeah, generator's not going to cut it, man, because I can't do recordings and things with that, so it's too noisy. And Philip, good morning. All right, so ladies and gents, let's get this morning kicked off. Head on over to Norma in her studio. It does seem like Norma has got more power than I do. So let's hear what she has to share with us this morning.
Good morning. I'm so excited for this topic today. I love talking about this. So this is also something that I've struggled a bit, sometime in my life. And when the penny dropped for me, really a whole lot of things changed. So today's topic is signs that our mind is not managed. And I think our mind is obviously the place where everything starts. So it's where all of our problems starts, but it's also the start of every great result that we actually get in our lives. So let's break it down a little bit. Let's look at exactly what the term means, and then what is a well-managed mind and what isn't. And then also we can look at how to start managing our minds better. So if we break it down, let's just simplify our minds as simply where we get our thoughts from. So that's the intentional thoughts that we deliberately want to think, but it's also those unintentional ones that we just appear. Sometimes we feel they just appear in our mind. And then the management part, I actually just went and looked up the definition of it. So if we look at manage, it simply means that I have executive control or authority. And then when we look at the word management, it's really the process, and it consists of planning, organizing, actuating, and then also controlling. So mind management is exactly those 4 elements, if we just take that and we apply it to our mind. So as I said, for a long time, I didn't feel like I had much control over my mind. I just felt like I had to accept whatever the thoughts that it offered me on a daily basis. And it felt like life happened to me instead of for me. And also I was very powerless. It felt powerless. And I felt also like I was very reactive. But it doesn't have to be like that, because we have this primitive brain that is very concerned with our survival. So we're very grateful for it because it tells us when there's danger. But we also have that higher thinking brain that really can override the primitive brain. So when we have fear, our higher thinking brain can go and say, you know what, there's no actual threat to us right now. We can relax. This is just you doing something new. So let's go. So what a well-managed mind is those 4 elements. I'm going to keep referring back to them. So planning, and just to give you some like daily examples of it, it's like when something is on my calendar and I don't feel like doing it, so I just do it anyway. When things are hard, I expect them to be hard, so let's just go and do it. The organizing part is really that place where I go and like I clean out my closets. It's like, what's in there? What's in my mind? What is helping me? What is maybe not serving me? What has been there, lying there that I'm not using? Can I get rid of that? What can I, maybe new thoughts that I can think to help me get to the result that I want? And then the motivation and the driving, that really just refers to me, that I create all the fuel and sort of create the energy that drives me forward. And the control part is really, do I have self-control? Can I let go of instant gratification and think more long-term? So what is when my mind is not well managed? My mentor and coach always talks about our brain is like a toddler with a knife. So it's very dangerous when we leave it unsupervised. And that is exactly what a mind does that's not well managed. It's like the child or the toddler that wants the sweets for breakfast. So it gets very upset when the mom says, no, you have to wait till, later in the day. And I think that is what we do in our lives as well, in a very subtle way, but we blame other people, we blame the economy, or when doubt comes up for us, we think it's a way to stop. And when we have all these negative emotions, we think, we have to get away from it. It's going to kill us. So that's what a mind is that's not well managed. So how can we get to a place where we start managing our mind? So I think there's just 3 important things that I want to mention. So the one is that we take responsibility for everything. So that is everything that's happened up until now, we take responsibility for. Although there's things in our past that we don't like, but this is what we have, this is where we are right now. So now what? How do I want to show up in my life going forward? And also know that everything, all the feelings we have, we create. So it's not something that happens to us. If I get inspired by reading a book, or I get angry by what someone just said to me, it isn't external, it is what I think about it, and that's why I'm reacting in that way. So we have to stop avoiding and reacting and resisting all the emotions that comes up that, are those that I don't like feeling. Because when I sort of check out and I don't experience them, then, that is the point where, I distract myself and I go do the things that is not driving me forward. And just lastly, to become aware of what is in our minds, because we don't know what we don't know. So we need to get in there and see what's helping us and what not, and get rid of the stuff that isn't helping. So that is, my take on signs of a mind that is managed and not managed. I hope that was helpful. So thank you, and I'll see you again next week.
All right, so here we go. I'm going to do a live on-screen test now with Leilani just to see if we manage to sort out her sound and all of that. So Leilani, let's just see if possibly we can hear you. I'm holding thumbs. No, still not. So it's okay. It's one of those things. We'll get it sorted for next week. Yeah. So thank you very much, Leilani. This is fun, eh? Like I love this. This is like talking to a mime. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Leilani. Appreciate it. Alrighty, so ladies and gentlemen, that means next up we have Rizanne, and Rizanne is handling this segment for BrandWorks, and today she is going to talk about making your digital assets tangible. So with that, let's head on over to Rizanne, who also has power. It seems like I'm the only one who don't have power. Leilani doesn't have a voice. It's a fun morning. Here we go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's segment of BrandWorks brought to you by ProfileMe. Today, we are talking about making your digital assets tangible. Now, what does that even mean? Your digital assets are items such as your ProfileMe, your website, your social channels, anything that is online and that you want to drive people towards. Now, there's a multitude of ways that you can share your clickable web links with your audience. But how do you get people to access your digital assets behind these web links without them even having to click a link at all? And why would you even want to do that? First, let's address the why. It all comes down to customer experience. A quick Google search on famous brands like Apple, Nike, Amazon will show you the immersive surprise and delight campaigns that have not only made them loved by their audiences, but has built fan bases that are fanatical about their brand loyalty. Brand marketing is constantly evolving, and today's customers want to engage in a more innovative and immersive way, and they want to be surprised and they want to be delighted. So just quickly, what is surprise and delight? Surprise and delight campaigns seek out ways to create brand experience that goes above and beyond the typical customer experience. Not only does it help to create powerful connections with customers, it also shows your appreciation and your value that you hold for the customer experience themselves. According to Harvard Business Review, surprise is the most powerful marketing tool of all. A surprise can make someone's day, and surprises have a wonderful way of making a good experience an unforgettable one. So, in what ways can you drive people to your digital assets online in the tangible world without them having to click on a link and in a way that surprises and delights? The answer is in fact, probably already in your hand, in your pocket, or right next to you. The most widely used device in the world, the mobile phone. Today's smartphones are equipped with so many features and sensors that we use every single day, but we don't even grasp the breadth of what these features are capable of. Two such features is the use of cameras that we use already to scan QR codes, and another is a sensing technology called near-field communications. Now, these can not only be used to enhance your customer experience, but also enable customers to experience the element of surprise and delight when they access your web links via these features. When it comes to NFC, the same principle, QR codes first. The information encrypted on a QR code's pixels and patterns will only show up when people scan the QR code. And this makes it great because it leverages the element of curiosity and surprise. When it comes to NFC type technology, this principle is taken to a whole new level, and I believe this will be the next frontier in immersive marketing. But let's look at QR codes first. The best thing about QR codes is that you can place them practically anywhere and on anything you like, and they can take up to 40% distortion and still be scannable. And we've seen some really good examples, innovative examples, come through ProfileMe. Henry Lachrancy had the brilliant idea of branding entire school's rugby jerseys with his QR code. Now, can you imagine a school full of parents trying to scan a bunch of kids running around? It's delightful. And of course, there's also mom and dad that packs and washes the jersey every single week, and all of the school teachers. Take pull-up banners. By simply adding a QR code to your banners, conference attendees can access the information you want them to without them even if they don't take the time to come and talk to you. Signage. QR codes on these are useful in any place where people may be spending a period of time having to wait for an appointment or at an event. These can include things like table talkers with a QR code or even an NFC tap tag in a waiting room. We've even seen QR codes go up on signage in squash courts and at water stations. Typically, any place that people have time to kill with a device in their hand. We've seen QR codes on water bottles, wine bottles, and even made from chocolates, as Cobus Klein did. Now, imagine that experience of your client scanning the QR code that goes to your digital asset, and then they literally eat you. There is a multitude of other functional everyday use examples where QR codes are enormously useful and can be used to add as stickers to your existing printed brochures and marketing material. And with NFC tap technology, the same principle will apply, except now your clients would tap your brochures, or even you, instead of scanning the QR code to access your digital asset. The possibilities really are endless when it comes to making your digital assets tangible. Time, I see, however, is not, and we're out of it. I hope you have a wonderful day and stay tuned for the next segment of BrandWorks. We will be talking about WhatsApp broadcasting and short form messaging.
Good stuff. Yes. So I'm so glad that you can't see the way I'm standing, because I've got to go wide in order to go down so that I'm more in line with my lens this morning. Like, here's how much fun getting exercise at the same time. All right. So thank you very much, Rizanne and Norma, and Lalani, don't worry, we'll sort it out. All righty. So with that, let's quickly do some announcements. Let me see if I can play some background music. Maybe we can do something. Let's just go with this probably. Let's just see how that goes. Yes, it's very deep and dark. There we go. All right. So what are some of the announcements? Just very quickly, just some things I want to bring to your attention. We're very shortly going to start a resources page, and there's going to be all sorts of resources and things on there that you can go and visit and see if there's anything that would work for you. It would include people that we recommend and work with and that we trust. It would include services. It would include technology. So there's going to be a whole host of things on that resources page. So we will let you know as soon as that is made available. Then also, I just want to sort of quickly talk about all our benefit partners that we have as part of Propulsion Pro. I'm very excited because I had an awesome meeting yesterday with someone that I've been wanting to bring onto the platform as a benefit partner, but more about that in a second. So we have Comspace. We have a benefit partner in Comspace, which is revenue. They do revenue management. If you don't know by now, Johan and Marta has been on the show several times as well. We absolutely underwrite and approve and love what it is that they do. So Comspace is definitely a benefit partner. They've been on the longest probably on the platform. So there's some benefits. If I say benefits, there's a few things. First thing is that you get a discount on their services and their fees, only available to Propulsion Pro members. And also, we're shortly going to be working a bit more with our benefit partners on exclusive content and exclusive sessions and training sessions and discussions around the things they do. So not necessarily their system, but around the area in which they are experts. And that'll also be exclusive to Propulsion Pro members. Then we have Profile Me is also on a benefit partner. You just heard Rizanne speaking. So they are on. We've got Life Docs. Life Docs, is Jeff. And Jeff and them, they've built a system where you can sort of track whether somebody's estate is like estate ready, if the affairs are estate ready, if they were to pass away today, how ready is that estate for being administered, and is all the information there, what is outstanding? It's also a place where you can safekeep that. So Taxspace is my own software where we sort of do two things. You analyze tax on the one hand just to look for opportunities and risks, and on the other hand you use it alongside retirement and investment planning. So doing sessions on that soon. We're going to be talking there about the business models behind it and how you can use it to make more money. So that's coming soon. Then we recently brought on Monty. Monty is about sort of identifying and managing uncertainty from an investment perspective. It's an investment planning tool. And then there is a FPI technology provider in the works. Had a great meeting. I'm seeing them again next week. So really excited for that and can't wait for that to happen. It is by far the best, the most amazing system that I've seen from that perspective. So yeah, really looking forward to bringing them on board. So these are all benefit partners. It's one of the benefits. So all of them are giving discounts, and also some more things that will be coming shortly for our Propulsion Pro members. Then, I think that was that. There wasn't a third announcement, so those are important. But if you've got any questions, you want to engage with me, you're more than welcome. We've been having these check-ins with our members, and it's been really amazing to just catch up with people. And they have an open door to sort of just book time if they want to chat and check in and need help and want to bounce ideas, etc. So yeah. But with that is that. So let's get into today's session. I'm excited. You can see I'm a little bit off my game this morning, and that's okay. Can't always go perfectly well. So don't get annoyed with me. Just stick with me. So let's get into outsourcing. Alrighty, so yes, let's have a chat about outsourcing, and where I want to start is really just talking about why is it an option in the first place, and why is it something that you need to consider is sort of the latter part or the second part to that. When is it an idea? And I had a very interesting conversation, well, a few of them in the last while around this specifically, because a lot of us feel like, you know, we've gotten to that point where I can't do everything myself anymore. But also, you know, do I really want to do everything myself just because I can, and whatever the case may be? So these conversations have been coming up for a lot of people, and I don't really care like how small or how big your business is, how new or how experienced you are, or where you are in your journey. It doesn't matter. In my opinion, there's always a situation where outsourcing is an option. Now, the first sort of reason for me that it is an option is that you probably have too few resources. If you are working too many hours in a day and you feel you're getting tired, you can feel, you know what, you're spending too much time behind the computer instead of in front of clients, then, you know, that's a clear reason. And once we know that we need something or someone, you know, then it does come to that point where, okay, what do I do? The other sort of thing is, like, if you think about the cost of recruiting someone, so it's the time to do the advert, to look for people, to go through all the interviews with them, and still at the end of the day, you don't know whether you're making the right decision. You know, for some people that is perfectly fine. Others go, I don't think it's worth the cost at this point, depending on what the job is that needs to get done by this person. But the cost of recruitment is also something that one would consider. And it's not only, you know, sort of if you get somebody to help you recruit, what is that going to cost? It's also more about the ongoing cost of that person that you've recruited, right? It might also be that the work that needs to get done or the problem that needs to get solved is one of seasonality. So it is something that, you know, for 3 months out of the year, I am extremely busy with certain things and I need help, but the other 9 months I'm fine. So it could be a seasonality thing. It could just be, you know, whatever it may be. So that would be another reason. It might also very well be that the skills you are looking for is very hard to find. And the people who do have the skills charge an arm and a leg because they can, because of supply and demand. So in that case, again, you go back to sort of almost seasonality, or how much time you would need that person for, or those skills for, that it might very well be worth it to rather outsource it. You also get to that point where you're sort of on that fence where, yeah, there's too much work for me, but it's not too much work. So it's just too much for me at this stage, and I don't want to be spending all these hours. But also, it's not enough work to keep one person busy full time just doing that. So hopefully that makes sense. So that is another thing where, okay, so I don't need somebody full time. Basically, I need somebody part time. And then, do you want to go and recruit somebody permanently on a half-day basis, for example? Those kind of things. I mean, I think a big reason to sort of consider outsourcing as an option is all the HR stuff. So human resource stuff, so managing leave and payrolls and, all the things that go with that, depending on how you run and do your business. Once it gets to things like maybe they're not performing, etc. So all of those management things that needs to happen. But those could all be reasons. And I mean, obviously they're not enough reasons, because so many businesses and so many financial planning practices and financial advisors and planners do appoint staff permanently, and they go through this and they need somebody and they want that person to be dedicated to them. They don't want to share them with anyone else because it makes sense for them. So it's not to say that that's not the way to go. Absolutely. But if some of these things are an issue with where you are at the moment, or things like you need a specific skill for a specific period of time, then outsourcing is obviously the route to go. And I think outsourcing comes in various different forms, from just being, we're going to use some people for certain functions. I think another word for outsourcing could be strategic partnering. Another word for it could be, just contracting someone, freelancing. I think there's all sorts of ways to look just around this. I quickly want to share with you just some stats that is an absolute, like, these are real stuff, right? So let me just share this very quickly. I don't want to do that, Francois. You want to do this. So let me just put this up on the screen quickly for you so that you can see. There we go. All right. So if you just think about something, and I just want to focus just specifically, let's just say, on planning, because this is the conversation I've probably had the most in the last 2 or 3 weeks with people, is around the planning part. You know how many financial planners have said to me, I don't want to do the planning anymore. I don't enjoy that. I enjoy engaging with my client. I want to be talking to them, listening to them, and all of that stuff. I don't want to do this anymore. Now, it's very funny. Like back in 2012, I personally did paraplanning for certain people, and it's something that worked very well for them, but we could never grow it into anything because the time wasn't right. We tried again in 2018. Again, the time wasn't right. And now suddenly I'm having these conversations with people saying, but guys, like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. There's more value adding stuff I can do. Now, the reality is that your planning part is never, ever, ever going to fall away. It will always be part of what you do, and a very important aspect for you to consider. But as far as the client is concerned, all they want to know is, and Koba said it so well the other day in our best practice huddle session on Pro, but that all they want to know is, am I going to be okay? And I've said this on the show before. That's really the only question that a client wants to know. So whether it's when somebody passes away, or he passes away, or she passes away, or whether it's becoming disabled, or whether it's retiring, or, will I be able to go on that holiday? All they want to know is, can I do this? How we get there, they trust you and I to be able to say, well, this is the road we're going to take. This is what it's going to look like. And that's what we are going to do. So first off, if we just focus on planning for a little bit, planning takes time. It takes a lot of time, right? It's gathering the info, it's doing the analysis and the planning, sort of crafting the proposals or the presentations or the report or whatever you want to do it. And I've got a big issue around that as well, which we'll talk about again. I've spoken about that a couple of episodes ago, but I'll get into that again. soon. But that for me is the biggest thing. So it's all this time that's taking place. And yes, we can task our assistants with doing certain parts of this. But when it comes to the actual planning, you've got to sit down and spend the time and understand and have a deep understanding of that information. The typical plan based on research takes 10 hours from start to finish. So that's a freaking long time. And a lot of people, and we've seen this, by the way, I helped one of the banks, I consulted to them a little bit when they started doing paraplanning, and we could see that a lot of financial advisors do not want to let go of this part because they don't know how to sort of prove their value to their clients. They feel like the value and what they are getting paid for is this, whereas this is only a very small part of that, in my opinion anyway. So the estimated time that planners spend is 34.5 hours per client in the first year that they become a client. So 34.5 hours that they spend on one client, getting to know them, gathering the info, doing the analysis, onboarding, all of those kind of things. 34.5 hours for every new client. Again, a very big thing of why it's better to do business with existing clients. But at some point, you first got to acquire new clients. So we've got to go through this. High producing advisors, the difference between them and average producing is that high producing advisors spend 80% of their time in front of clients, whereas, oops, I'm clicking on the wrong thing, whereas the average producing advisors spend 80% of their time in front of computers, right? And these days, even your high producing might be, but that's in meetings and not doing admin. So in today's world, let's just highlight that. And then also the limited knowledge that advisors have does slow them down, and they lose out on opportunities because often you get very good at a very specific area, but the wider sort of financial planning area is not being taken care of. We don't use CPD in the way that it should be used. We use CPD to tick a box for compliance and to stay fit and proper. However, if you look at the wording for CPD, it's meant for you to go and identify where your gaps are. And those are the things that needs to be done from a CPD perspective. So few people do that. So few businesses do that for their people. But that is another thing, like the knowledge that's probably missing in certain areas are also costing you business, and it's slowing you down. It's probably increasing the 34.5 hours that you need to spend if you first need to get up to date with certain things. So why should you even care? The thing is that the more time you spend with non-client facing activities like admin, answering emails, queries, those kind of things, the higher the cost becomes to serve your clients and to be in business. So obviously there's opportunity cost. If you think about, if you can do one extra deal per month, that's probably about 120,000 Rand on average per year, right? Just one extra deal. That means just having the time to be able to see one extra client a day because you decide to outsource this function that you don't like doing. And if you love doing it, then keep doing it. But if you don't like doing it, if it's become a frustration, then you could do that. If you do one deal a week for a month, it's 480,000 Rand a year addition, right? So those are the realities of what is possible if you go with outsourcing your planning function, for example. So you get a paraplanner. So whether you appoint a paraplanner or whether you outsource it to a paraplanner, but that is definitely something that can add loads of value. Now, there are also other things, but let's first just think quickly about what to consider. I think some of the things that needs to be considered is the skills in your team at the moment, right? And do they cover everything that needs to be covered from what the client expects and what the client needs point of view? So you've got to go and map those two against each other and say, well, here we are excellent, but here we are falling short. Yet we are still doing the things where we're not up to scratch. It's really disrupting us. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of time that needs to be spent to get this side right whenever there's clients that come along with that. And your option is obviously twofold. Stop doing this stuff and stop working with those clients, or get the skills or outsource it, right? So those are really the options, but we need to consider what are we really good at and what do we really, really enjoy doing, because that becomes the core of what you do. And when you know what the core is of what you do, it's easy to now go and identify other areas, which I'll talk about in a second, that you can now outsource, or that's probably a good candidate for outsourcing. What else is there to consider from this point of view? Well, do you want to take somebody on and train them and bear the cost? And is it going to be worth it? Is the return on that investment going to be better? Do you need them full time? Yes or no? And if not, then probably outsourcing becomes a thing. There's always this piece, and I had a chat. Somebody messaged me yesterday asking about, virtual assistants, for example. So at that point where there's more admin, that's what I said, you're sort of on that line where you want to do you need help, but there's not enough work to keep them busy full time. So you almost just want to use them whenever the need arises. And that's something to consider. If you find yourself in that position quite often, then also something to consider. Right. So for me, the first thing is to just take stock of the resources that you have at your disposal. Now, I think there's a lot of resources that are available to you as a financial planner, right? Being provided by product providers, by technology providers, by specialist companies like ours, for example. So there's a lot of things that you can do or that you can use that's already in your business's framework, but maybe we don't think about these things. And do we ever have conversations with these? So first of all, if you think about, let's start with a product provider. So whether you're independent or you're tied, it doesn't matter in this instance, right? You have a load of resources at your disposal, be it legal advisors that you can use, be it a broker consultant that you can use. And look, unfortunately, they're not all broker consultants like advisors and consultants and doctors and name them are equal, right? So some are extremely good and a big part of your business, and others you couldn't care whether they're there or not. So, and that's a reality, right? It's up to that person. But you need to go and write down a list of what does the product providers that you work with, and start with the product providers that you typically support and recommend to clients, because everybody's got this is sort of our main provider for risk, our main provider for investment, our main provider for health. And if we can't come right there, then there's alternative 1 and alternative 2. But start with those and see, what do they have? Have a conversation with your consultant, have a conversation with that manager, and find out, look, what is it that you offer that we can make use of? And often those things come at no additional cost to you. Sometimes it does. So it depends on that conversation. And also, there's nothing wrong with paying for this stuff. I think it is actually better, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be biased to place more business with a certain company simply because they give you these services. And maybe in some instances, it wasn't a good idea to place the business there. It was better to place it with alternative 1. So, but talk to them and see what is there that you don't have to pay for. If you're already placing the business there, it's a very good idea. So I think that's sort of the first step. The second step would also be, to do that mapping with, this is what our clients are looking for. These are maybe opportunities, but we don't have the in-house skills for that. And identify what those are. Maybe that's accounting and tax. Maybe it's, certain things. So those are the things that we need to go and say, well, what do we have? Then also take stock of what you can do internally already. Maybe one of your staff has some talents and some skills that you're not utilizing because their role is different from maybe what they have a real passion for. So start there before going the outsourcing route. So don't outsource for the sake of outsourcing. In the 7 habits that session that I do, the second thing I talk about is a team. And the third thing is that you should outsource everything else, right? So you start with your team, look at what you've got internally, build it. If you want to develop them into certain things, you want to change people's roles, that is a good strategy. It helps them grow. It helps them advance. It helps them become more valuable for you. So don't sort of avoid that part. So what areas of your business will really benefit from outsourcing in Francois' point of view anyway? So first thing is a big thing, which I believe is becoming more of a thing. I'm seeing it. Bigger FSPs have got this. They've started using this more and more and more. And as they work closer together, they realize just how much value there is in having this person do all their plans for them. So paraplanning is a massive, massive thing. And what you could do, like let's just say, because paraplanners are expensive, right? So, I mean, you need somebody who has your knowledge or better, right? But then that comes at a cost. They just don't like working with clients. They want to work with the data, do the analysis and create the scenarios and do the comparisons and things. That's what they want to do. Also important, by the way, to get the right definition for what a paraplanner is. It's not a glorified admin assistant, right? It's not about somebody putting things into your system. This is a person that can apply their mind to the situation at hand. They also have a deep understanding, but they do all the calculations, all the trend analysis, all of those kind of things. So that's what they do. So paraplanning is a big one. General admin, if I talk general admin, it could be very simple things like, I don't know, what is there? There's so many things. I'm thinking about my business now. So there's all these things that one can do. There's just general admin, right? So whether it is answering emails, whether it is, sort of tidying up your virtual file cabinet, whatever it may be, filling in forms, sending forms to clients, getting forms back, following up on medicals. Those kind of things are very, very easy for anyone basically to do. So that general admin stuff that is keeping some of your most talented, most skilled, most valuable employees busy, and yourself, if you don't have any of those, or maybe even if you do, you're still so involved in this and you shouldn't be, then you must look at, can I either appoint someone that can come and do this, or do I outsource it to someone like a virtual assistant, for example? Then the other thing, and here's a big thing, like I have a problem with this because I love IT, I love technology, so I want to sort out all my stuff myself, right? I build all sorts of things. I learn to put certain things together that most people won't do unless you're a specialist in that field, just because I'm curious. But I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be spending my time, looking at why is my learning management system not working? Why is the certificates, like all that stuff should go to someone who does that for a living. So technology and IT support is definitely something that needs to be outsourced, even if you have a big love for it. And I'm talking to myself right now. But if something goes wrong, you pick up the phone, you phone someone and say, come and sort this out. So I know of many of you that do that, but I'm also sure that there's many of you who try and sort it out yourselves. Don't get involved. It's not worth your time. And it's going to take you much longer to sort it out usually than it would take somebody who does that for a living. Then the last two things are also big for me. The one is revenue management. And yeah, I'm not talking about because one of the things I said to my accountant in the week that, I remain accountable at the end of the day for my finances, for the performance of the business, for whatever we submit to SARS, whatever goes, like it's my accountability. So yes, my wife deals with it. They deal with it. They talk to each other. I don't want to be involved in meetings. I don't want to, if there's issues, they need to sort it out. However, I still need to know what is going on. So there's those two parts, right? So revenue management is something that you can do yourself. You can't get all the information in whatever way, shape, or form. You can have a spreadsheet. You can use ComSpace, whatever it is that you're using, and you can analyze and look at it, right? So from your point of view, the analysis or knowing where your business is strong from a revenue point of view and where it's weak and where the risks are, that is your accountability. That is something that you should know. But getting it to that point can all be outsourced. You can give it to ComSpace and they will run with it for you. It'll cost you a little bit more, but it's absolutely worth it. For what they charge for that is absolutely mind-blowing. But they take everything away from you and they do it for you. And all you need to do is look at the results, look at the data, look at the business intelligence, apply your mind to what you're seeing, and they will even give you input from that point of view. So something like that, if I say source it out, yes, there's an option where you buy the system and you run everything and you get the data in there and you make it your problem, or you can let them do it. So that's the choice. The other thing is also reporting, and this is the biggest thing, and this is probably one of the most regular conversations that I had with smaller FSPs in my 2 years where I worked for one of the tech providers, is that they do not have the resources to take ownership of their data, manage their data, clean up their data, make sure that everything is fine. And yes, you still have the responsibility and the accountability for that, but you don't have the resources. So all of these smaller businesses that I've spoken to is asking me, Francois, like, we're looking to you as a tech provider in order to help us with this. You have the resources, you have the expertise, you have the knowledge. And it's the same with your product provider. It's the same with whoever you work with. That is why you do it, because you're looking for the stuff. So reporting on your investments, for example, with something like Seed, for example, I mean, they are one of the few companies that actually take ownership of the data and clean it up and make sure. It doesn't mean that there's no mistakes, and you still need to look at it whether you're happy or not. But at the end of the day, that is a big thing that is being outsourced. So, having somebody manage your data, right, and making sure where data comes from multiple sources, that it gets into one format, that is absolutely critical. I mean, that's a full-time job. So definitely something that's not the core. Do you need the data? Do you need the business analytics? Do you need to know what's going on? Do you want to make proper business decisions? Absolutely. But spending time on getting the data right, you'll never see any clients. So definitely a big part that is a candidate for outsourcing. Righty. So I think on that note, I'm going to stop. But just maybe a brief summary of where do you start? Well, the one thing is just sit down, right? Whether you go sit at Doppio or Mug and Bean or under a tree in a bush or wherever you go, sit down, take a piece of paper and a pen, draw the different areas of your business, look at what's working, what's not working, look at where you have the skills, where you don't have the skills, and then make a list of these, call them strategic partners that you can that you can talk to, and that see like which of their resources can you employ in your business and use, and then what can you get without paying additional for it, and then what is there that you would just have to be willing to pay for those services. One of the big things, I think, big shifts that we made in our business, in the beginning, I was looking for all these things that are for free because of, we knew cash flow, all those solid reasons. But you get to a point where you realize, if I don't pay for stuff, I also can't complain, right? So if you want to be able to complain, if you want to be able to say your say, because really, if you get something for free, how do you go and moan about something that you're not getting? How do you moan about the quality of something? You're not paying for it, so you have no right, in my opinion, to complain about anything. So making that mind shift from, again, like I always talk about, technology is an investment, or it should be an investment and not a cost. Anything you do in your business must help make you money. Whatever technology you employ, whatever thing you're outsourcing, whoever you get to help you, whatever you pay for it, it must come back at least double for what you've paid. If it's not making you money, you shouldn't be doing that. Good stuff. Alrighty, so that's it for this morning. So I see there's been quite a few comments, and so I think Terence, you make a very valid point, and it's also one of the things that actually came up in the best practice huddle on when was it now, on Wednesday, where it was asked, because if you look at all the compliance requirements and things around this and how important it is, the simplest thing is to, one, have a proper agreement in place, right? Must be very clear out what is allowed, what's not allowed. That information must go through your system. It can't be sitting on their system. It should be sitting on your system. Otherwise, you need consent from clients, and it just becomes messy. You also need to be able, in your terms and conditions, where people give you consent, to where you tell them, look, we use a third-party provider for X, and they will have access, because they need to have access because they're part of the business, and that they actually consent to that in your agreements, etc. So it is important to have those little things in place. But at the end of the day, remember, POPI complies to all of us. So it doesn't matter whether I'm helping you or you helping the client. As long as you have consent, that is fine. And then you have an agreement to manage what can and can't be done, and then confidentiality, and also what are the repercussions that if someone in that relationship does not keep to that. But this is why it's important. It needs to run through your system. You need to give them access to your system, and you need to have that agreement in place. Does it guarantee that something's not going to go wrong? No. It's like putting burglar bars in front of your windows. It doesn't keep them out. It just makes it more difficult. So and if something does go wrong, at least there's some form of something that you can go back with. But if this is going to be the thing, then you need to employ someone full time so that they can come and do that. So yeah, it is up to you at the end of the day. But if we're going to let all these small little things hold us back, we will never ever grow our businesses. Mulalo says, loving the session. Do you have a partner in the outsourcing space? Depends on what you mean, Mulalo. But yeah, we do obviously have certain things and people and so forth that we connect people to, that we believe in. So yes. So yeah, so quite a few. Mr. Russell Ho, I think a first good step I've learned is make a list of all the things you don't want to do and how much time it takes. And that's an important one. Like I didn't even talk about whether, consider whether you want to or don't want to do it. But I think that's a very thing. So not only what you need and where you are, but maybe do you actually want to do this stuff? So a very valid point. Thank you very much, Russell. And then work out the cost and time for that. All right. So let's see. Neil says going down the IT rabbit holes is a big time waster. Oh, absolutely. So I definitely agree with that. Terence says worth giving ComSpace best investment I make monthly. Absolutely. Neil says our virtual receptionist has been great. Morning, Robin. And then Mulala says, like Profile Me as a partner and we get a discount. Yes. So awesome stuff. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. Thank you very much for being here. I'm sorry for the low-key production and for me being a little bit all over the place. I'm really unsettled this morning. I don't know why, because I did know we won't have power. So I was prepared, but like things are not where they're supposed to be. So, hey, and that's how we don't become complacent. I've got to make sure we've got a plan. So thank you very much. I'll be back next week, same time, same place, hopefully with power. And wishing you a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, be blessed, and prosper. And remember to continue to always, always raise the bar. Love you. Bye-bye.